Hello and welcome. My name is David Baker and I am the host for Inner Circle Spotlight. Today we're going to be interviewing Trudy Bierman. I'm so excited to get to have her on. Can't wait to hear about her, her book, her niche, her life, and what she has. And we are glad to have you here. Okay, so we're glad you're here. My name is David Baker. I'm the host, and what we'd like for you to do when you get on, open up your chat and tell us hello, all right, and where you're from. It's always great to see where people are at all over the country and even all over the world. So Maryland's first, Ohio, Marianne got right in there from Germany. So it's good to see people already. 3 countries, okay? Ohio is definitely a foreign country also. Germany, Canada, Barbados, Rochester. So if you've been on here, you know my affinity for Ohio, so I love to tease them. But great to have everybody here, and Illinois, Canada, Alabama even. All right, so Rick, I am coming down your way. Our family will be in Gulf Shores on Saturday for a week, and looking forward to that. So that's the only time I really say anything good about Alabama too. There's something about football in Alabama I just don't care for. But anyway, we're here for Trudy today, and I'm so excited for this. We're going to pray, and then we'll start our interview and our spotlight with Trudy. Let's pray. Dear Lord Jesus, thank you so much for today. Thank you for Trudy and her life and what you've done and accomplished with her. Thank you for the opportunity that we get to have her on the spotlight for her new book that she launched, the blessings that you've given her. I pray that you would help and bless this time to be clear so we can help the people on the panel and what we can do to be able to help Trudy. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, great to have you. And we have Inner Circle. It is Tamara's personal mentorship group. And usually every week, we spotlight one of the authors that has just launched their book. And so this is Trudy. We're going to get into the book and all that stuff in a little bit. But first, I want to find out about Trudy before. So Trudy, tell me about you, life, family, where you're from, and what you did before you found Kingdom Builders Academy.
Hi, Trudy Bierman here, and I'm originally from Jamaica, man. Yes, from Jamaica. Grew up missionary kid. Parents are missionaries. What I did before, I moved to the United States when I was 17, so I've been here for a very long time. And I'm married to my soulmate. We live in Tampa, Florida, and I have 4 children. Let's see. Before Kingdom Builders, I acquired a number of credentials in the financial services industry. I'm a paralegal and I worked at the DOJ for a little while. Real estate broker, not active doing that, but I keep that service for clients that if they need that from my other thing, which is life insurance, which is the main thing that brings my money in right now. And I am building something that's the reason why I ended up here. So that kind of brings me up to right now.
Awesome. That's great. So born in Jamaica, missionary family, got to come to the States when you're 17. And so from real estate to paralegal to insurance, that's incredible. That is the 3 major,
I'm also a certified credit consultant. I just accumulated these credentials to do my work.
That is beautiful. I love it, which is a great skill set for your book and what you're going to be talking about. So that is great. So, and you said been married how long?
20 years almost.
20 years. Hard to believe, right? And children?
4 children.
4 children. What are the ages there?
I was married before, so my daughter is 27. She's got 3 children.
Wow.
Don't use the G word, David. Don't. They call me Emma.
That is a great thing. That is a great thing. I love that. So
my son is at law school, my older son, and then I've got 2 at home with me. So one is 16 and the other 9.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. That is great. So, okay, the book is downloaded, so the link works. So tell us about this book, okay? CASHercise. Tell us about this, what's in it, who's it for, who can it help, principles, things like that.
Okay, so CASHercise, as you can already tell, it's not an English word, it's a made-up word. So it's a trademark word, and it's the word cash and exercise kind of smushed together. And I hope it conveys working your money. That's the intention, working your money. And so the book CASHercise, How to Become Debt-Free, Outrageously Profitable, and Joyfully Generous, are all the things that, David, I'm on that journey. I'm on that journey. And, you know, the word coach is not a word I've adopted for myself yet. I more see myself as a tutor. I'm in the class with my peers, and I maybe have just grasped the information probably a little bit better or quicker than others, and I'm showing them what I've learned as I go. So I'm in the trenches. I'm doing this journey, David, and I've already accomplished, learned a lot of things. I've already had the trial and error. I've already had the pains and the, you know, and honestly, if I had had somebody do for me what I'm prepared to do for others, I know my journey would have been that much easier. So, you know, I'm not one to like get my ticket to heaven, I'm good, all set, and that's it. No, I got to bring some people along with me. And I kind of got that idea out of the Titanic ship, because when the Titanic sunk, only a few were saved, but the lifeboats never went back, David. So many people died floating in the water with their life vests on simply because the lifeboats never returned. So those who got to safety, I'm good, I'm good. No, no, no. I knew I had to get back in that lifeboat and go rescue some other folks. So that's kind of what's going on here. And that's why this product has been put together.
I love that. I love that. That is so good. And that's what we're supposed to do in all areas of life. Paul told Timothy to find faithful men who can teach others also. You know, it's not about you. Everything that I gave you, you know, if you're saved, the Bible says we are to minister those gifts to everybody else and to show them. So, wow, that is awesome. By the way, I just love the title, CASHercise. And so, I mean, there's so much in here I'm just so excited about. You creating your own word. We got questions about that I want you to answer later on. Creating your own word, and everybody gets it. I mean, you know, it's amazing that nobody else has come up with that word before, because people are great at putting things together. But that is, you know, when God gave you that, when God downloaded that, I'm sure it's you know, God says if we have wisdom, he gives knowledge of witty inventions. God gave you a word to work your money. And that is beautiful, but not just for money's sake. How to become debt-free, check, amen. Outrageously profitable, wow, okay, and joyfully generous. You have all three of it in there. It's not living by debt. It's not just for profit. It's so we can give and be generous.
That's the ultimate end result, David. That is actually, the first two really feed to the last one.
Yeah, that is really, really, really good. That is awesome. Love it. And so, so the things in here, how big's the book, the topics, the chapters, what are you teaching? What are the guts are they going to get from this?
Well, there are several chapters. I honestly didn't count them. I didn't count the chapters, but oh my gosh, there's so many. Can I just read off some of the topics?
Please, absolutely.
Okay, so I review the story of the widow's oil. It sets the tone for so much of what the book talks about. I'll get back to that in a minute. And then we look at debt, how you got it matters, what CASHercise is, your credit score, and encouraging people that they know they can have a 720 plus credit score. Money management for Christians, not just money management, but money management for Christians, because we have that tithing piece that the world is not asked to do. I talk about holes in your wallet, income versus spending priorities, being flashy but broke, behind the mask. A lot of us wear masks, David. Roots and results. A lot of times we want to focus on the results, but honestly, it's a result of something else. So we need to go back. Looking at our credit cards any good? A lot of people think they should dump the cards and go to a cash system, and I address that. Necessary versus unnecessary debt. That is a hot button topic, and I kind of go over that there. Death triggered debt. Now, one of the top areas of identity theft is with the recently deceased. So I address that there as well. I have a budgeting strategy to improve your credit score. There's budgeting for money management, and I have budgeting for improving the credit score. I call them distant cousins. They're distant cousins. And that's the book has an invitation to a course which has a whole bunch of other things. I mentioned the 10 money habit strategies, establishing their baseline, because you need to know where you are to get the GPS to where you're going. I invite them to ditch the shame strategy. A lot of people are just based in shame with regard to their money situation. And I go over the budgeting to improve your credit score again, what impacts the score, actual spending plan, tweak, not twerk. The recycle strategy. There's just, the debt factor, tweak again, shopping therapy. Some people shop for therapy. The debt temptation, and then we look at is being debt-free realistic, whether the strategy for getting out of debt whether you should stack it or snowball it, and so forth. There's just, there's a whole lot that I'm offering for free, David, for free.
I am so glad I asked you that, and I'm so glad you went through every chapter. That is incredible. That is a great wealth of knowledge there to be able to help. And so, yeah, it is a great thing for free. So this is not a mini 20-page ebook, is it? So
No.
It sounds like some great stuff. So if you haven't gotten it, of course, go ahead and get it. I am going to get ready in a minute to open it up for questions, because questions are coming in right now. We have an expert on issues that people have lots of questions about. Okay. And so I'd like to spend as much time as we can questions for the crowd. So if you have questions about this, feel free to put them in that Q&A, and we will go over those. So I want to ask you, before we do that, two other things. One is, Trudy, what for the people, well, three, for the people now, what else do you have besides the book? So you mentioned a program, coaching. What can they sign up for to be able to get more? Because they're going to look at the book. Okay, this is good. I want more. What do they do?
Okay, so whether they go straight to this website or it's an invitation inside the book to go to CASHercise.gr8.com. That will open them up to the course with all the additional content we just talked about. And I actually need to go to that now, because I also make some additional promises there. Hang on one second.
Yeah, and if you could put that link in, I don't think I got it. I don't want to get it wrong. So
sure.
Just maybe type that link in at the bottom or copy it. What did you say, CASHercise?
Yeah, I'm going to type it in. Let's see, put it, paste. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
edutainment.com. Got it.
Mm-hmm. And when they go to that website, David, there are some additional things that I offer. Of course, it's a 19-module online course. We just kind of ran through some of those topics. To swap their budget for a spending plan. There are worksheets there. There are strategies to move their credit score from blah to hurrah. There's a strategic plan flow map, easy to implement debt reduction strategies. If they hadn't already gotten the ebook, they can get it there free as well. They get the opportunity to ask me some questions, and they get access to other value-infused content at that site, and they will have options for discounts to premium content that others would not have.
That is really good. That is really good. So the website, yes, I will post it again. Someone says they can't see it, so let me post that. All right. Hopefully you can see I think maybe she posted. Yeah, she posted it to panelists. That's why you were on just panelists, so I can see it. All right. So posted that. You should be able to see that now. Okay. Great stuff. Okay. So that's where you can go, and you can sign up for the 19 module. That is great. This is really a lot of in-depth stuff to help. So, okay, you have that. And what's next for you? Are you going to spend your time building this niche out, working with this, coaching, building that, or are you working on other projects? What's next for you?
Well, this is going to lead to a live event or the coaching. The coaching will be access to a bigger version of what we just described with coaching calls with me, and that is, can I say a price?
Sure.
That will be a $997 option, and then we'll have a live workshop weekend, and that will be another price point for those who want to take it, where they'll just dive right in and get it done right then and there. So that's that plan. Now, for my clients who come to me through, say, the insurance doorway or whatever, I still channel them into this because a lot of times people can't afford their insurance, or they can't upgrade and really protect their family without some of these other strategies. So
awesome. No, that's great. Okay, and we're getting ready to get into questions. I got one more question for you. This is just open-ended. I ask people because I don't want you to get off this and go, I wish David had asked me this question. I really wanted to talk about this. So I put that back on you. Trudy, is there anything that you want to tell us that I've not asked you, anything that's on your heart, anything concerning you, life, business, Tamara, Kingdom Builders, anything that's just on your heart? I don't want to miss something that's really important to you.
First of all, I do want to thank Tamara for putting this program together. I'm benefiting personally, and I believe that others, because of the work I'm doing here, will benefit as well. So it's like a ripple effect. The other thing is, David, I kind of mentioned I invite people to go and read for themselves 1 Kings chapter 4, 1-7. And it talks about this man of God. He was known by Elijah. He sat at the gates. He was a leader, but he funded his life on debt. He dies. There's no insurance policy. There's no money. He leaves his family in debt. And his wife, who's probably, though, considering the culture of the time, very much younger than her, never worked a day in her life. She's now a single mom with 2 sons. The debt is so big, David, that the creditors are coming, not for one, but for her 2 boys. Here is a single mom with this massive debt, and she now has to figure it out. Well, she didn't take on a new loan. She didn't go back to school. She went to the man of God, and he told her to take some action, which she had to step out in faith, but it started with what she already had in her hand. And there's so many people that when you invite them to consider, their starting point, they answer just like she did. I have nothing. It turns out we all have something, and the something God gave us in the first place. So I challenge people to be better stewards, and that's not a popular word, a better manager, what God has already put in your hand. And the other piece of that, David, is that the man of God told her to go and sell the oil. That's also seems to be another touchy thing. You tell people to go and sell and they freak out. That's the one job they don't want. But selling was her gateway to the kind of income flow that he said, pay all her debts, and live on the rest. So she was also going to have to go into some money management strategies as well. I feel like this story is very iconic of the work that I do at many, many levels. But I invite people to read that story for themselves. It's so dynamic. God's going to show you something that's pertaining to you that I may or may not have touched on in my book. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Amen. I'm so glad you did. That is one of my most favorite stories of the Bible, and it's my most favorite story for finances and business, because you see the debt that she had. Her boys are going to have to be slaves to pay it off. And just like you said, people say, I don't have anything. And that's the way she answered the man of God. I've got some oil. Okay, so God says, take what you have. Second step, really interesting, he said, go borrow.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I talk about that too. That's why we look at necessary and unnecessary debt. There are some times, the Bible has many things about borrowing. There's strategies for the co-signer, there are strategies for the lender, there are strategies for the borrower. It has a whole lot to say about money.
Yeah, I want to get to questions because there's a lot. I want to get to as many as we can. Donna asked, what are the steps to trademarking something? Okay, you mentioned something you've done that a lot of people have not done. What's the steps to trademarking something?
Well, there are many options that you can use. I used Trademarkia, Trademarkia, I think is trademarkia.com, and you pay them some money. You put in your word or your phrase, and they do some kind of search to make sure it's not already a no for you, and then you pay them some money and you got it, and you get a certificate, and they register it wherever they need to register it. So awesome. That's one option.
Good. So when you trademark something, what else can somebody do with that? You trademark it. You own the word. Nobody can use the word without your permission. Right. What is it?
Yes. Yes. And I've seen that in action because by accident, we had a website called I Do for Dummies. And the For Dummies group certainly sent us a cease and desist letter. And it was a very scary one. You know, you knew it had some teeth in it. So we backed off on that. So yeah, I mean, you know, once you have that word trademark, it's yours. And on top of it, it's not I don't think they let you trademark regular words like thank you, and you know, it has to be something kind of made up, unique, and then that's it. I think
that is really good because okay, Rick has a bunch of questions, so I'm going to go through those. So Rick says, could you go over credit pages or notes?
Credit pages or notes. Pages.
If you don't understand, I'll go to his next one and maybe we'll understand it, or you can clarify that, okay? Sent out to make sure they wanted to be a part of the book and promotion. What if they do not get back? Also, if cannot contact the movie or church or individual, what's the best way? If they are in a way, do we post in the notes or do we use a certain manner? Okay.
I apologize. I'm not following that.
I'm not either. All right, Monique, what is Trudy's recommendation regarding credit cards versus cash? Thank you.
Okay, and I do touch on that. Credit card, this is well, I don't know where she's from, but in the first world, and actually even in Jamaica where I'm from, which is theoretically a third world country, where everything's digital these days. It's a sad situation because when I'm on the street and a beggar asks me, very often I don't have any cash on me. This is a digital society. And if I wanted to stick with cash, even to pay my bills would be crazy because even if you bought a money order and put it in an envelope and put it in the mail and it'll say they didn't get it and there's no tracking and all that. We're in a digital economy. So even if they wanted to stick with just say a debit card, I have been to rental car companies and I tried the cash only system. I even tried the letter M envelope system where I was saying, I'm not going to use a credit card. It doesn't work, David, not in this country, because even to rent a hotel room or a car, they don't want your debit card. And they give you grief if they do take it. They want a credit card. Ultimately, most people will need to buy a new car, to buy a house, depending on their business. They need a big piece of high-ticket equipment, whatever the case may be. And the short-term opportunity may be to swipe the card, because even if you have access to the cash, it may not be immediately liquid, maybe tied up in some instrument, and it's not immediately liquid. So even if you have the money to pay it all off, I still say have the credit card and then pay the credit card off. It's your score, the credit score is, this is the way I put it. I hope you'll get it. I would try to paint a verbal picture. Your credit score is a secular, quantifiable way to put your integrity on display, if we want to put it that way. Because, you know, I've never met you. I can say, oh, you seem like a nice person, but when I look at your credit score, if you have a high credit score, it says you keep your promises. It says you pay the debts you've agreed to. And sometimes when jobs or, you know, background checks for military or whatever the case may be, they're trying to determine, they don't know you. You walk into their establishment, how are they going to make a value judgment on whether or not they're willing to do business with you? And your credit score speaks for you volumes because it has a history behind that score. And so even if you have no interest in your credit score is a valuable document, a valuable, quantifiable, secular conversation with the world to say she's trustworthy.
That is. Now, you do insurance also, correct?
Life insurance, yes.
Life insurance. And what insurances, don't some of them use a credit score to even calculate your, is that just car, home, or health?
No, there are some that definitely will take it into consideration, especially if you're using it as a financial, you don't have to buy a life insurance to die to win. We can use the life insurance as a money management instrument. And so, yes, that all of that will definitely come into it. There's some people, they can't even get a bank account because they have so messed up their name, their reputation, their financial integrity. And so I encourage people, especially people who want to wear the label of Christian, not even the appearance of evil. We shouldn't even have the appearance of it. We should be, if they do an investigation on us, we should come up clean. That's just the way I look at it.
That's good. And people do judge you by that. And I know when we bought our house 23 years ago. So I obviously had a credit score to get a house then, and didn't worry about it after that because I never, we had our house and nothing ever came up. And a guy wanted to buy a house and flip it. His credit wasn't good. He was rebuilding and asked if we could do it together. And my credit would buy it. He'd fix it up and pay me something. I said, I don't know how my credit score is. And they said, well, I'll have the guy look at it. The guy, CPA, had been doing this for 25 years. And he said, and when he ran it, he said, wow, I've been doing this 25 years. I've never seen this. There's not one late. There's not one slow pay. There's not one anything on this whole credit score as far back as it can go. I've never seen that. And it's like, well, I was taught if you owe it, you pay it. If you don't, you're a crook. If you pay it late, you're a crook. Maybe a crook for a day, but you're a crook. And anyway, then God sent us through test and trial and heartache, and everything crashed. Went through a home foreclosure, didn't take a salary for 5 years, had a 400 and something credit score, 400 something credit score. And I remember going to God and being upset. And I said, God, my reputation. Yeah. And I felt like God punched me. Yeah. And said, listen, I don't care about your reputation. I've got a different plan right now. I let people think Joseph tried to rape his master's wife because I had a different purpose. I'm like, okay, God, fine. And so there's a journey he had us go through. Yeah. After that was over, okay, let's build it back. And when we bought our house, we had a 777. Literally, that was the last credit score when we bought our new house. And it was fun to go through all the processes and build it back up. And the last time I checked it, it was 777, and that was
which is why I tell people to ditch the shame in their money game, because that process that you just described when you saw your score had tanked. And I don't know, how many of us here on this call hadn't lived through the recession and felt something from it. I certainly did. And so I had the gut check as well. And so I definitely, for those who are feeling that punch right now, there's no shame in fixing your money game. There's just none.
Awesome. Good. Okay. Patricia said, I would like to do a live seminar on kingdom finances for our churches here in Barbados. We're in a deep economic recession. Our money is very near devaluation. What advice would you give me concerning this seminar? And would you like to come and speak and for free? No, she didn't say that.
Well, she should.
No, that'd be fun.
I'm from the Caribbean, man.
Okay. Go back home. So,
yeah. Actually, I have a mentor back in Jamaica who's done very well for himself. He is, for me, iconic, as Tamara is, but I know him since I was a baby. Of a man of God who has done very well, who's super generous, and has, is a testimony in the marketplace. I'm going to suggest you find someone like that, because people still need their human Jesus. Not all of us have our faith elevated to where we can worship the invisible Jesus. So for us Christians, we are the only Jesus some people know. And so I encourage you to find someone that they can see, resonate with, hear their story. And I don't know this person if she has her own success story that she can share, but definitely people need to know it can be done. It can be done. And so that, to get that kind of person. The other thing is that we're talking about a pervasive across the board country problem, which is the same for Jamaica. And that's something that myself and my mentor were actually going through. There's a bad habit that Christians have of not documenting their success. And so it's not reproducible. And that's one of the things that I'm actually working with him on, because he himself has been successful, but he has not left a template behind. And so he's 81, and I'm like, this book will outlive you. So we're going to fix that problem, because he has done some amazing things in Jamaica. He's still helping poor people. He's creating showers for them and, a place for them to work. But if somebody wanted to copy that somewhere else, there's nothing written down. He'd have to go and speak and speak and speak, and then they'll have to remember. No, you need to document. You need to create some kind of program, blueprint, book, something that somebody can take to Barbados, to their little town, to their little country, and copy the steps to get out of the place they're in.
That's good.
You know?
That's great. Leading to the next question, Susan asked, how did you get your start?
In what? In many things. If you mean in the CASHercise book, or?
I think in your whole financial ministries, because you know, you have three major disciplines plus your own stuff you're doing. So
okay, so before the recession, David, I was the wife that swiped the credit card. I was the wife that just swiped the credit card. My husband had a very successful construction business, and I was in real estate, but I was not a money manager. I was a money spender. And I remember I did the Crown Financial course. It wasn't Financial Peace back then. It was Crown Financial. And I did that course in 2005. And it was the first time I had met, so although I was in the financial space, in the real estate broker space, guess what, David? They were teaching leverage in a very bad way, where you put down a little bit and you take the burden of this big, heavy debt. That's what put us in trouble, because I bought the secular garbage. Anyway, so, and I was teaching that back to people. And that's why I'm saying there's a Christian mindset that has to filter through this secular stuff so that we stay on God's path. Anyway, so I was the wife that swiped the card. And when I did the Crown Financial program, it was the first time I had met someone my age that was debt-free. My parents were debt-free, my in-laws were debt-free, but they were old people. And I just assumed you became debt-free when you were old. And so here it was, I had met this man who was actually a mortgage broker at the time. And I was like, oh, we're going to do all these deals together. We're members of the church. He's like, Trudy, I haven't bought one property. By this time, I'm saturated in several. We're heavily leveraged. And I was like, what? Now, I had just gone through the program, but it still hadn't clicked. It hadn't clicked in an implementable, practical way. All this knowledge of the Crown Financial, which, like the financial piece, I have the financial piece program, so I know what that's about, is very, it can stay all theory. It can stay all in your head. But this man had put all that stuff into practice. And so in 2005, when I had completed the program, and he said, Trudy, I owe nobody anything. Now comes 2006, David, and we're still spending like, there's no tomorrow. I mean, more means more. That's the definition of more. And I just kept spending. We had just bought my husband's truck, was like almost $50,000 truck. And I'm getting jealous now. I'm ready for my new vehicle. Now, this is 2006. And I had been watching our income drop 30,000, 25,000, 20,000, 15,000, 12,000. Like, what? So I was seeing this drop. So I said, let me wait till things kind of, even out. And I would not normally have waited, David, had I not taken that course, that godly approach to money. So I said, let me wait. What we didn't know was the recession was beginning, and the evidence of it was already there, but the powers that be weren't willing to call it what it was. So because I had been observing, because I'd done the course, I started to do money differently. And I saw the changes, and I said, let me hold off. And then it's in summer of 2006, David, everything spiraled from there. And then we went through that phase through to 2010. I won't even tell you the deep, dark depression I was in. But the learning I had just before that teeny tiny change for barely a year, was the only reason why I'm still with a house over my head and cars in the driveway. And we lost a lot, but I went to the Lord in tears, and I'm like, Lord, woo, good things don't happen to bad people, hogwash. I'm like, Lord, woo. And he's like, Trudy, you deserve more. I was merciful to you. You were not a good steward of what I had put in your hand. And David, that started it. I actually started going back to the Bible, and just my Bible studies, I started journaling, and it was amazing. It's like everywhere I looked, money was just, not just money, business application. So actually my second book was the Bible on business. And I just saw these business principles coming through, and I had to change the way I did things. But it also changed my trajectory. So I, kind of left the real estate world and focused on money and money management and what that meant, and it completely changed. And here we are today. So that's how I got started.
Oh, that is great. That's great stuff. By the way, you just mentioned some other good things. And so I just did a search on there. So go to Amazon and search Trudy Bierman, Trudyberman, and you will see the CASHercise book, of course, for free. Jesus Had a Stepdad Too, the Bible on Business, Inspirations from My Personal Devotions, from
Pain
Pain
to
to
Purpose.
Purpose. Is that yours also?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a co-author with that
Got
one.
it. Okay, I see that. And then just in case, a go-to resource when life throws a curveball. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Happy. Well, you just keep on going. The creditors are coming. A Bible story for current times. Wow, you are doing
But
it,
like I
man.
said, David, until I got here, I never had a number one. So what?
Yes, that's awesome. Great, great, great to see you doing all that. Time for a couple more. By the way, a couple of people asked the older gentleman's name in Jamaica. We have other people that live there. You mind mentioning his name? The older gentleman that helped you? No.
No.
Okay. And all right. So Carrie says, I'm debt-free, missionary, widow. I've learned to live very frugally. Haven't learned how to handle money. Now at 80, I received something of an inheritance and need help knowing how to maximize potential to start and or support ministries. And I still have an inheritance to leave for my children and 13 grandchildren. So good question. What advice would you have? So
she shouldn't do that alone. She needs an expert. I would not even try to venture to say anything over this
right.
platform. She definitely needs someone to sit with her, someone who has the expertise, look at her money, hear her goals, her heart. And there are instruments of financial tools are not a financial plan. So she needs to have a comprehensive plan and various tools underneath that. I would encourage, though, that she could consider, instead of leaving the money for the charity that burdens her heart, that she considers taking out an insurance policy with them as a beneficiary, because she would take less of her cash to pour into that over time. And if she passes before, if she wanted to leave 100,000, for example, instead of setting aside 100,000 of her inheritance now, she could put a policy in place and have an escrow to pay for that, so that that's still taken care of and all that.
That is so good. And people don't like to use those strategies, or so many people don't think about it, but people that understand money do, because I could set aside this money over here and put $2,000 or $3,000 into this policy and give 100,000 when I pass away, and my life still continues to work through the money that I left instead of giving $100,000. And so being able to use wisdom in money and tools and different things is very good. I'm glad that you mentioned that. And very few Christians take advantage of that. If Christians did something like that to be able to make sure their ministries and churches could go on, we'd have so much more capital to do so much more ministry. So awesome. Trudy, it has been a joy and a blessing. It's hard to believe we've gone through 50 minutes already. That was so fast. I'm so excited about you and what you have. And I can't wait. Honestly, I'm going to go get some of your other books, because they're just hearing you obviously have the goods. Okay, God's given you the knowledge. You've worked hard. You've acquired that, and you're willing to take that and give that to other people. And so I would encourage other people to go do that too. You didn't even say you're a children's author, that you're doing books for children. That's
well, David, because like I mentioned, I was married before, and my son, when I remarried, he was struggling with. He loves his dad. He's trying to deal with the new dad. And there's so many blended families amongst Christians. And God just deposited that one into me. And it, just as the answer to my son's challenge. So,
yeah. Well, the beautiful thing is, you've taken a life that you've gone through and used it for you, and then say, okay, you know what? I bet other people have this need too. Let me put something together for them, which is what all of us should do. And that's beautiful.
That book has been pirated and downloaded thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times, David. And at first I was angry, but I'm like, it was God's gift to the world. I was just an instrument. So I don't worry about it.
Amen. And sometimes that's all you can do. God knows, and there'll be more rewards in heaven for things like that. So, Trudy, best wishes. Keep on going on. Can't wait to hear and see even bigger and greater things that God has for you. All right. God bless. Take care, and we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.